Welcome back to Your Tech Report.
We're back on Your Tech Report, still covering things that happened at CES early this year. It's one of those things that keep on giving. Now, here's a question I've got to ask my audience here, which is, if you could control your smart home with just one button, how would you do it? What kind of automations would you set up? What would you actually take advantage of? Well, Flic is a Swedish company that's pioneering the way in innovative and easy-to-use controls for smart homes. And I'm really, really excited to be joined by Per-Gustaf Hedberg, head of marketing for Flic, directly from Stockholm. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking off the time. I'm excited to talk about Flic because you had a fun year at CES this year, right?
Yeah, it was amazing to see just how excited people were for our new and upcoming product, the Flic Duo. Wherein we've tried to take in all the learnings, I think, from the past 10 plus years that we've been producing smart controllers to make something new, unique, yet relatable and really useful.
Well, tell me about the past 10 years. Tell me, where did this idea for Flic come about, first off? And tell me about some of the products that you've already brought to market. And then, of course, we'll get into the Duo.
Sure. So a little more than 10 years ago, our founder Joachim had an idea to create a device that could help him track particular activities that he performed, wherein so quite a simple device, right? Like, he wanted something that he could bring with him at all times, where if he did do a particular thing, he would push the button and then he could see after a while, like, how many times did he actually do that? Was he able to attain his goals, for example? And upon doing that, he shared it with many people and just got asked more and more things about, like, what could this product actually do for them? And I would say that's kind of how the product grew and became a thing. A simple idea, a simple product with the creativity of the world really allowed for it to become a truth. And then it saw big adoption, and there was a huge possibility in smart home wherein it would fit in quite easily. So after a massively successful Kickstarter campaign, being the most crowdfunded company in Sweden, Flic became a thing. After which it's seen quite a few iterations. I mean, hardware development has gone really fast, and there's been better and better components to include. So we've tried to make it more and more relevant over time. Then it became clear that people wanted a more powerful controlling unit, I would say, than just a phone or a computer. That's how the Flic used to interact, wherein the hub came into play, so that you could set up something that would work not only for you, but for, like, your family or visiting guests, etc. So it's connected to your Wi-Fi, pretty much, and then the buttons interact with your devices from there. So that was the beginning, really, of Flic. After a while, we started seeing quite a lot of interest from various companies as well. It seemed like, oh, well, could we integrate this into our system? We have this very specific use case that we would like to use your buttons for. And I would say the most common is in terms of safety. A lot of people really like this product because you could bring it anywhere and you would push it to send out a distress signal that could share your GPS coordinates that anybody could follow. Because the thing is, when you're in a tough spot, you don't really have the time to take out your phone, right? Like, make a
unlock
call,
your phone, call for help, and have that conversation. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we're really big in the safety space there. But we also have really kooky and fun, like, use cases for, like, entertainment centers where it could control different like low-tech and high-tech devices. As we have an IR accessory, you can also talk to quite old, devices.
Make your old devices smart again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I really like that. I have quite a few, like, Bluetooth transmitters to old speakers here at home because they're still great, right? But you want to use them in a new fashion. So after having continued to develop the Flic button quite a few times, making iterations for both the consumer market and the business market, we decided that we wanted to do something different, something new, again, for the smart home market. And that's how the Flic Twist came to be. So up until then, we only had one button in various forms that you could push, double push, or hold. So 3 different triggers that you could put to one button. Any of those could do one or more things. But what about being able to dim anything that you have in your smart home? What about being able to control the volume, for example, effectively? So we tried another Kickstarter with a product called the Flic Twist. That was another incredible success. Super fun to see that. We've been working really closely with the community, trying to create things for them, allow them in to create their own things. We have an open SDK for a reason. I think we love to create and to share that ability. And then we wanted to create more types of interactions you could have with these devices. So then we created the Flic Twist, and great to see that it was very well received. Unfortunately, that happened during Corona, wherein it was really hard to get a hold of a lot of hardware pieces, so the project got delayed. And I would say that, that was a bit tough. We've recovered, we've delivered everything by now, and we've been able to make quite a lot of improvements also to the software, making sure that it can run with any smart home setup you might have. So
are you surprised? I'm sure you are, but are you surprised by some of the use cases that people find ways to use Twist or any of the buttons? I'm sure there are stories you're like, oh, I didn't really think of that one.
I think the coolest stuff is really the magicians, for example, because we have a particular Bluetooth protocol that allows for really efficient and trustworthy long range interaction of devices. I've had, for example, this video of a magician on a boat, and I think the hub he said was about 100 meters away. It was a huge crowd. He could still control things on the screen behind him or various props with zero lag at all.
Wow.
The response time of the button is a bit volatile if you have it in standby mode, which is the general practice. Because when we sell it, we want people to have a long battery life.
Yeah, of course.
And then you wake up the device whenever you press it. But if you're a magician, you want instant response. So you keep it awake at all times, meaning that then the response time is at 10 milliseconds, which is really good. Of course, it can vary depending on the types of rooms, etc. I'm not saying that 100 meters indoors with a huge crowd is always going to work. In his case, it did. And I think that's so wild.
You know what? I never would have thought that the answer to that question would have been a magician.
Yeah.
I would have thought, someone figured out a way to, make the lights flicker when something happened. But a magician, not where I was expecting you to go. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Another one I think is super cool is since a while ago, our CTO, because he's really into music, etc., he made sure to create an OSC integration. So OSC is a bit similar to MIDI, but it's more reliable as a communications protocol. Meaning that sound and light technicians oftentimes tend to use this. And that means that all of a sudden you can work with really high-tech visualization software like Touch Designer. Mm-hmm. So you can 3D map an entire room, you have various projectors, and interact them with a button can actually control different elements. Wow. We had a Halloween use case contest last year and the year before, and this guy has set up this entire thing where kids could come over, push buttons to create different animations on his house.
Wow.
To make it into a haunted house.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So let's fast forward to CES for a bit here, okay? Because this year at CES, the newest product, Flic Duo, won multiple Best of CES awards. So number one, congratulations. But tell us what Flic Duo is. And more importantly, why do you think the industry was just a buzz about the product?
Absolutely. So Flic Duo is, as we like to call it, the smart button evolution. I haven't created the smart button since long ago. We wanted to do something else, but that still did the same thing. It's a dual smart button that has dual personalities. So we want a product that anyone really could understand intuitively what should this do, whilst also allowing advanced users to have more opportunities with it, really. So the Flic Duo is a 2-button smart button that you can put on a wall where it has one configuration. The commands will control particular devices in particular ways. You would push, double push, the big or the small button for various things. If you remove it from the wall, you then change the configuration. So then the push, double push will do something else. Additionally, we have gestures, so motion controls, you would push and swipe. You would be able to push and twist to dim or increase, decrease lighting. It could also be a neat way to, in a detailed manner, control your blinds, for example. If they have that type of
so like an up-down motion type thing while you're pressing the button.
Exactly. Another way we've talked about internally is like you become the magician of your own smart home. Like it's like you're waving a wand around. You're just controlling a bunch of stuff. But also, it has a buzzer, so if you lose it, you could find it. Another neat little thing I think that it can do is you could place it somewhere and it is able to register movements. So let's say you have a kid and not allowed into the cookie jar or the cupboard. You could place the Duo on it and push a button to arm it, meaning if somebody actually performs a motion on that door, you might receive a push notification. You could receive a text message. So then you know particular activities are happening. I think this then allows it to come into safety as well, where if you've left your home, you're arming it, you're placing it on your door, you're not expecting anybody to come, or you are, you might actually get notified of that happening at a particular time. So you're confirming what you expected.
That's so cool. There's there's so many devices out there when it comes to the smart home ecosystem. How do you make sure that it'll work with everything that exists, if you can?
Yeah, I mean it's getting easier, I would say, thanks to Matter overall. It feels the majority of the smart home industry, the big players, have decided to join Matter to build products under that particular protocol, as it benefits us all. It's always been really important for us to interconnect different platforms to make it really accessible and easy for you to interconnect different devices. You should be allowed to choose what you want, right?
Yeah.
But the hard thing there, I think, as we try to innovate for various commands, is would the end product actually be able to do something with that information? And if we are meant to do that type of development, it becomes too big of a problem, right?
Yeah.
So we try to work really closely with Matter and impact the development, so Matter will be able to support for as many different types of commands as possible. So that's the fastest way and most efficient way, I think, to make sure that the products will be able to control anything. But if there's any particular special use case that our community really want or is asking for, we tend to try to put it into our backlog as well.
Okay. I was going to ask you that because how much of the feature set, for example, gestures, I mean, there's a magnetic mount that, of course, can detect whether it's mounted or not. How much of the feature set is stuff that was determined, okay, let's do this internally as a team, versus listening to that community and understanding what they want? Is it a balance? Is it more internal versus external? External, what's that process like?
So I think the general way that we think about it is, what is the most important that we need to do to serve the majority of people? So how can we make sure that to 80%, this is useful to anyone that wishes to use it, whether it's new or existing customers? But beyond that, we then always try to backlog important new integrations that could allow for new setups. I know we've talked a lot about Home Assistant, maybe integrated with Google Home, and other types of integrations like HomeKit, even more than what we do today. There's been various complications, I'd say, with each and every one of those choices, which has led us to go into Matter and do that in a particular way and then update that, making sure that it's operable for all of our old products. I think that's always our priority, everything that's still compatible, that's sustainable in a way, and then prepping for the future. So yeah, it's a balance for sure. But I think we're all looking forward to be able to do a bit more in terms of the integrations in the future. Can't promise anything, but we're discussing all the ones that I just mentioned, for example, on a weekly basis to see when and if possible.
For someone who's new to smart home tech, how easy is it to set up Flic Duo?
I would say it's very easy. If you're used to having a smartphone, integrating, just working around with apps, then you would just create an account. You would pair your Flic product with your phone, if it's a button or a Duo. If it's a twist, you would need a hub. In that case, you would connect to the hub. And then through that, you would add the Flic products that you wish to connect to the hub. Then you can select which product you wish to create commands for. And it will give you, oh, these are the trigger alternatives. Okay, what will the double push do? You press that, and then you have an immense list of integrations that you can choose from. So it could be like, oh, I want to integrate to Spotify. I want to integrate to Sonos or Philips Hue or Matter, wherein you could just scan the QR code, or if you have HomeKit, you can find the QR code through the Home app. That, there they have a particular setting where you could find the particular code and you can just touch that in easily. And then you're ready to go.
So when I first got the press release about Flic Duo, at that point, there was over 10,000 people that signed up for a pre-order. Where are we at today? And what do you think is driving that early interest?
So at the moment, we're at 14,000. It's still fun to see it growing even after we launched the pre-order starts last week. I think a part of it is that we've added quite a lot of fun, like gamification components to it. We wanted to play on a lot of mystery to begin with. Like maybe it's a bit silly, but there's been a lot of more alien UFO sightings recently.
Okay.
And we're all really into sci-fi. We think that stuff's kind of cool. So as we started making some render videos, we kind of viewed it as, oh, it's this spaceship out in the ether. Wouldn't it be fun if we played on that mystery? And we brought that into our launch campaign, which is still active, which we hope to continue be active so that it can be a place for community engagement as well. We're going to be churning out a lot more missions that we already have included, and we've created some type of like mini escape room game where you have some quite neat little experiences, I think, waiting for you. Both that can give some context into like what the product does, but also just it's quite fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really fun.
Have people been enjoying the game?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm really surprised by one, how many people ended up completing it.
Okay.
How fast they were. Really skilled, because it's not obvious, everything. I think the first time I tried it, it took me 45 minutes from the beginning to completion. And, I was a part of making it as well.
Yeah, okay.
So that's really cool. And otherwise, there's lots of perks to get by just completing missions, which like one of the special prizes you can win is a hoverboard designed Flic Duo, which when we made it, I just wanted it instantly. I was like, this is great. So nostalgic. And then we have like a tactical glove that we wish to use. If you've ever played Fallout, I have this dream since a kid, like, to be able to have the Pip-Boy with me. So I thought, okay, well, what if we find a glove and we put a magnet on it so I can put the Duo and just have it along with me, do little Konami codes,
That's
do some secret interactions.
That's so cool. And listen, it's always fun when you can obviously, make it more fun for people, right? They can experience it. I got to ask you a question about accessibility because, you talk about the fact that you want to make this accessible to anybody who wants to use it. Yeah. But have you thought about people with disabilities and how they might benefit from not only the Duo, but all the products you're doing to be able to create automations and do things in a home, whether you're stuck in a wheelchair or you have limited mobility? This could be a game changer for that kind of community that might need it more than you even realize. Absolutely.
And I mean, we enter that market more, I think, through B2B that have channels that work with like hospitals, et cetera. So they create those end interactions for the people with disabilities. But if it's somebody that still like lives in their own home, et cetera, I think it's so important for people to feel like they have the power to do what they want, like just opening the blinds. And maybe you can't because you're in a wheelchair, like that's really prohibiting. Then if you have somebody that can install that type of device, then either if you have the button on the wheelchair or since you can place them anywhere under tables, etc., the accessibility of the hardware product of Flic is there. But additionally, I think with the hardware additions we've put into the Flic Duo, it makes for really neat further interactions where it could be a fall detection. Since it has a gyroscope, it has an accelerometer. We're able to read in those types of signals, and that could be life-changing or life-saving for some individuals. You don't know when you're going to fall. So it's both the elderly and people with disabilities that we're trying to help with this. I would say the tech is like really made for anyone to be able to use it at any times easily.
So obviously you guys are focusing on not only obviously the new products like the Duo, but you're still working on innovating the other products in the catalog. Is that the plan going forward, to continue to evolve the products as people have different use cases? I mean, thanks to software these days, it's easy to really, well, not easy, but I mean, it's easier to implement new features and things like that. So is this the focus now, or are there new products in the pipeline? Obviously, that I'm not asking you to tell me about them, but what's the roadmap for you guys? Is it just looking at what you have and continuing to deliver on those, or adding more?
So the thing is, like, we have a lot of requests to develop new products within the business segment, whilst also having lots of interest from various end consumers that wish to have more integrations. Again, then we're trying to find a golden middle ground. But at the moment, our main focus is really making Flic Duo into a great product. And I think, I mean, not promising, but I sense that the path that we will want to go in thereafter will be to focus on more integrations for all of our products, really. Because it makes it even more accessible. Makes it even more fun. And with a passion to simplify life, I think that's a really good thing to focus on.
Yeah, I agree.
But obviously, like, things can change. Maybe there'll be even more impact for us by producing new product instead.
Yeah.
So a little bit unsure right now.
That's okay. Listen, focus on what's coming up,
yeah, exactly.
right?
It feels good to just focus on one thing. And then we know that we have lots of different ideas, and we'll be able to put those more clearly into the backlog when we start feeling like we're really closing in on making Flic Duo a reality and delivering it to people that have been pre-ordering. And
so
amazing.
Speaking of pre-orders, they're still ongoing, right? So
exactly.
At flic.io/duo is the address, right?
Correct.
Shipping
we
summer?
sold out the first batch this morning now. So we made an announcement of the batch 2 opening up.
Okay.
The early bird prices are still available, though, during batch 2.
Okay.
So it's not too late. It just means that you'll get a later delivery than if you got it during batch 1. So congrats to you if you did it. Anybody watching. And if you want to get any like special discounts or perks, make sure to join the launch campaign, because you can get it all there. And we might be doing a double XP weekend.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be easier and faster for you to gain those perks.
Amazing. Well, Per-Gustaf, thank you so much for taking the time to join me, taking the time out of your day. Really excited about Flic and honestly, all the products that you have coming out. You have to come back on and tell us some more stories when obviously the products are in people's hands, and we look forward to following this journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us, for talking. It's always fun to get to share a little bit about our journey and what we're trying to do for people. So absolutely, I'd be happy to come back another time as well.
We look forward to it.
Your Tech Report will be right back.